So it's Wednesday the 17th of June 2026. I got back from the Three Peaks Challenge yesterday and I am already back just outside Oban in the Highlands of Scotland. I am ready to get the ferry over to Islay tonight. Right, well, we've made it to Oban Ferry Terminal. I did set off really early this morning in case there was any roadworks, so I got here like 2 hours early. So I might potentially just go and explore the town of Oban and see what it has to offer. I've been for a look around Oban. There's a Wetherspoons, there's a pier. It's really nice, but I don't think I'm actually gonna have enough time to explore anything in too much detail. So I'm back at the car and I'm gonna put the drawstring back in these shorts that fell out in the tumble dryer this morning. Tell you one thing though, it's absolutely boiling today. I was worried it was gonna be cold. Well, good news, that's my ferry there. So yeah, 5 to 5 that evening, we left Oban on the ferry, out past some cool looking castles, and as we went past the Isle of Mull, it started to get really sunny. And out onto the North Atlantic Ocean, down past Colonsay, where the weather looked very nice, compared to Islay, where the weather looked absolutely awful. But thankfully, as we were going down the strait between Islay and Jura, the weather on Islay really cheered up, ready for me to camp there that night. Right then folks, we're back at the car now. We're taking ages to dock in Islay because there was a ferry in the port already, just on the car deck waiting to drive off and set up camp. Right, we are here. We've got the tent out, we've got the poles out. I'm just going to set up my tent now before I have a beer and some food. Right, I've got to be quiet because, believe it or not, based off looks, it is 10 o'clock in the evening. But I've made myself some absolutely delightful super noodles. Got a beer here and my tent is all set up over there, so we're doing good. First night on Islay. I've just come down to the seafront to finish off my dinner of super noodles, and I'm just thinking, like, it's 10 past 10 and I'm on the Isle of Islay in Scotland. Like, what am I doing with my life? But I'm also thinking, like, people say the UK is awful and horrible, and I mean, it is like 11 months of the year, but if you come to Scotland on the 17th of June, it's not really that bad at all. I am, to be honest, just looking forward to having shorter distances to travel in the coming days. Like, I did 300 miles this afternoon, but the next couple of days are just going to be like dotting between islands. So basically most of the work will be done on ferries, which are absolutely lovely, by the way. Right, I am in my tent for the night. It is 11 o'clock, nearly 11 o'clock. So situation update, I drove from Northumberland to Oban this morning. I got the ferry from Oban to Islay this evening. I have pitched tent. It's currently 3-2 England, Croatia. I'm going to watch a bit of Clarkson's Farm, finish this, and then go to bed. I cannot stress enough how weird it is to be in a tent and to be too warm and it's too light. Like, every camping trip I've been on in recent history, it's been too dark and too cold. Not to get all deep, but I am thinking a lot about how, like, I just came randomly to wild camping like 1 year ago, randomly started trying it out and doing it, and now I'm here. And yeah, good night everyone. Successful first day. Morning everyone, welcome to day 2 of my HEBRIDES trip. I woke up at about 7 this morning, so I've had a really good sleep. Just decided, because of the wind, to get out. Had I got out my tent and packed it away 5 minutes later, it would have been absolutely drenched. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning right now. I've got the ferry to catch over to Kintyre at 12:35. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do until then. I do know when it dries up, I'm going to make myself a coffee and have some breakfast. There's also a little loch nearby where I might go and have a wash. Right, I've come to Loch Ballygrant, which is quite near the ferry port. I think it could be an idea to maybe just pack a towel and a bar of soap and have a wash in here. There's no one here and I do need to wash, so... Yeah, that's my morning bath in Loch Ballygrant done. I've left my soap in the loch, so I need to go back and get that when I'm dressed because I am freezing. I'm freezing. Well, if you're ever on Islay and need a place to come and wash, Loch Ballygrant. I do not think there's a better feeling though of being clean, having swam and bathed in a loch in Scotland. Absolutely phenomenal. Back at the car now in new clothes, having washed in the loch. I think I'm now going to head over to Loch Finlagan, which is one of the main lochs on Islay. Right, we've made it to Loch Finlagan. There's some sheep there with most impressive ones. As well as being absolutely gorgeous, Finlaggan is a historically very interesting place. In the 12 and 1300s, there existed a kingdom that was very much separate from the rest of Scotland called the Lordship of the Isles. It was separate because it was primarily Norse and Gaelic. It had been invaded lots by the Vikings in the 800s, and it was always closer to, say, Ireland than it was to the rest of Scotland because the Irish Sea united these places, and the mountains that lay between it and the rest of Scotland divided those places. So yeah, this was a huge Norse Gaelic kingdom, and Finlaggan was the home of the Lord of the Isles. This lake where I was standing was effectively to the Lordship of the Isles as Buckingham Palace is to England. There's a Great Isle and a Small Isle, and on the Great Isle is where the Lord of the Isles, as he was called, actually lived, and on the Small Isle was a small room where he held council. You can also see the remains of a chapel that one of the lords built on the Great Isle, but yeah, a gorgeous and historically incredibly interesting place here on Islay. Right, I've just got back from Loch Finlaggan. It's 11 o'clock, I've had a lovely morning on Islay, but it's time to get the ferry over to Kintyre soon. I don't think I have time to go and explore any more of Islay or go shopping, so I'm going to go shopping when I reach Kintyre. Well, we've checked in at Port Ascaig Ferry Terminal. Islay has been absolutely delightful. It's gorgeous, it's scenic, there's hardly anybody there to disturb you. But in 2 hours' time, we will be back actually on mainland Great Britain on Kintyre. Nothing much to report from this journey across to the Mull of Kintyre, but it was very, very windy on the top deck, which was kind of fun. I was enjoying it at least. Yeah, 2 hours later, we landed in Kennacraig on the Mull of Kintyre. Well, here we are on Kintyre. I've just been driving down the A83, which might be the nicest road I've ever driven on. On our way to Campbelltown, we're going to do some shopping there, and then we are going to find a place to camp. Right, I've come to this place called Devar Island. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And there is no causeway at the minute. And I really wanted to go over to it because apparently there's a cave with a painting of Jesus in, or so, like, it's a really odd little cave. I should have probably known it was tide dependent, given that I live so close to like Lindisfarne in Northumberland. Like, yeah, you can only get there at certain times of day. Oh well, I'm going to carry on along this road down to the very bottom of Kintyre. Well, we are at the southernmost tip of the Mull of Kintyre. This car park is actually at the bottom of a cliff face, and I remember when I was planning this trip seeing this car park and wondering whether I could camp at the top of that cliff. I think perhaps though tonight I might just camp at a beach nearby. It feels like it's getting warmer, and I think I can see blue sky over there. This place might become absolutely gorgeous in about an hour's time, and hopefully I can camp somewhere in it. Yeah, there's 2 islands just south of the Mull of Kintyre. Couldn't see them earlier, I can now. All in all, it was looking like this was going to be a pretty nice place to set up my tent and camp. Right, to give you a summary of my life over the past like 2 hours. Right, I can't lie, at this point I was really, really tired and hungry and too hot, and I was doing an awful job of explaining what actually happened, and I was just waffling. So basically, I looked down at my legs after walking through some grass. 5 huge ticks had attached to my leg. So I spent the next half an hour picking them off my leg, checking the rest of my body everywhere, like armpits, behind my ears, for more ticks. I had a good old little panic about Lyme disease, and then I just realised this place was cursed, and I couldn't find anywhere to camp. There was absolutely nowhere to put a tent, so I upped and left immediately. This particular one seems quite quiet, and there's no signs forbidding sleeping in your car, so I might just set up camp here. So it's time to turn this car into my home for the night. Okay, I've just cooked myself some super noodles, again for the second night in a row, but they were delicious. I'm glad I got bitten by ticks and couldn't find a campsite near the South Peninsula, because this place is becoming absolutely lovely. The weather has really improved over the course of the day. I've really enjoyed the first 2 days of this trip. I know for the first day I was mainly driving, but tomorrow I'm going to try and catch the earliest ferry over to the Isle of Arran. Now, I've neither been to Islay nor to the Mull of Kintyre before, but I have been to Arran plenty of times. I used to go on family holidays there every single summer for I think about 10 years, and I really, really miss the Isle of Arran, and I haven't been back in, again, about 10 years. So the whole purpose of this Hebrides island hop was basically to visit the Isle of Arran. Right, so this is my bedroom for tonight. We've got the driver's seat here, which I'm not going anywhere near. The boot now sort of opens up as a little chest that you can, so I can access the stuff that's in the boot. I'm just going to fill my water bottle up before I go to bed. So yeah, it's actually quite comfortable here in the passenger seat. I'm just going to get the usual blankets and pillows out of my bag, and then I'm ready for a good night's sleep. Well, a very good morning on day 3. I had a lovely night's sleep last night. It was quite loud because of the wind and the rain, but this was actually really comfortable. Right before I went to bed, I did just crack a window open. For 1, to improve circulation and just like get some fresh air in. For 2, to stop condensation. Just making myself a little coffee. Car is now back to being a normal car. And I'm going to head off to the ferry port to go to Arran today. As I was having my breakfast and I've got my 2011 Atlas out again, I noticed something on the horizon which I couldn't see last night because of the visibility. Basically, I am about there. The only island that's across from where I am is Isla itself, where I was yesterday. Those things in the distance must be Isla. I don't know, because that one's so mountainous, perhaps even that's Jura. And that's Isla. I just thought that was cool that I can now see that far. So far on this holiday, all I've seen is just fog over the sea. Well, here we are at the port for the Arran ferry. It's absolutely tiny, this one, because it's literally just a tiny little boat that takes people across to Arran from Kintyre. Oh, the last time I was on the Isle of Arran, I hadn't even joined high school. It was 2018, and now 2026, I'm going back. I went for a little walk along the shore before boarding the ferry, which was rainy, windy, choppy, but I was very excited. You can stay in your car on this ferry, but I've just gone up to the deck for the majority of the journey, and it's so bad up there. It's crazy getting thrown about, and it's you just get soaked coming into, not that you can see anything, but we're just coming into Loch Ramsar now. Jack was waiting for me on the main town on the island, which is called Brodick, but I first went to Loch Ramsar Castle, which is amazing. It's really cool. There's lots of different rooms. There's like a prison in there. There's like a storage cellar. And similar to everywhere around here, you just get it to yourself. You can just have a little explore and you do it in your own time and everything. It's great. I actually ended up meeting Jack in a place called King's Caves, which are really cool cave formations on the Isle of Arran. For some reason I felt the need to show him what was in my...
Did you do a Three Peaks one?
Yeah, I've done a Three Peaks one as well, so Kyle and Cam are going to be in the videos. After the tick saga on night 2, I was fully suited and booted for the walk to King's Cave, and it started absolutely tipping it down while we were there. However, it did not disappoint. It's such a cool place. I used to come here all the time. King's Cave on the Isle of Arran are absolutely sensational. Absolutely lovely, but the weather was god awful. Like, I have never been so saturated in my life. I've had to get changed again. Basically, we're going to find somewhere to go and get a nice warm coffee and dry our coats. When I say the heavens opened, it was awful. We ended up going back over to Brodick to get some lunch and a coffee. Jack had actually bought like a fridge that sits in his car, so I got some sausages and burgers and stuff and mint. After 3 days in the pouring rain, look at what's arrived. I've got to the campsite and it is blue skies all over. Not only was it rewarding, it turned out to be very useful because I could dry some of these soaked, saturated clothes from King's Cave on top of my car. We've got a little setup going on where my car is here. Jack and his tent box are there, perpendicular. It makes a little space in between, which I'm setting my tent up in. I cannot emphasise how nice it was to be on the Isle of Arran in the sun. It was even nicer without the midgies because Jack's got this little device that like scares them off. It like releases a gas, so we got that set up and then we started cooking. We had some burgers, some beers. It was all just good fun, all the usual. It got towards like 7-8 o'clock and the sun really came out. It was starting to be incredibly scenic here this evening. Well, actually got some company at work. They said that, didn't they? They were like, are you staying for the night? Nah, this is just for decoration. What do we rate this setup, Jack?
Pretty good.
I'm loving this, to be fair. Absolutely delightful evening. You're never going to take like a photo good enough to capture what that actually looks like, are you? You just can't like actually get a picture of how amazing this looks right now. After we'd had dinner, me and Jack went for a little walk up the logging track we were on. We saw some mountains, which we thought were Goatfell, which was the one we were going to climb the next day in the distance. And then we headed back down the logging track and look at this for a sunset. Just look at what we were camping in view of. Night 3 of my Hebrides camping trip. I've had rain, and more rain. And then tonight I get rewarded with this. And that in the distance is Goatfell, which me and Jack will be climbing tomorrow. Well, believe it or not, it has just started to rain after everything I was saying about what a lovely evening it is. That does, however, mean it's going to cool down a bit in this tent, which I'm very much looking forward to, and the midgies are going to sod off. All in all, a successful end to day 3 of the HEBRIDES camping trip. Right, morning, welcome to day 4. I got up this morning, the tent was surrounded by midges, so I got pecked to death while I was having a wash. The sun's out in full glory. I thankfully quickly dried off after my wash. I then went to a place called Kildonan, to a place called Silver Sands Beach, which is a place I've been going since I was about 3 foot tall, and it's a place I've always wanted to go back to. So I went to Silver Sands Beach at Kildonan. Now just cooking some sausages, and then we are going to make our way over to Broddick so we can climb Goat Fell, the highest mountain on the Isle of Arran. Here we were at the base of Goat Fell, and my legs were still aching from the 3 Peaks challenge. However, I did manage to dry my towel and keep my car cool by putting my towel on my front windscreen. We set off up Goat Fell in the absolute baking heat, but we were quickly rewarded with these views of the Isle of Bute and mainland Great Britain, and it did actually cool down a lot as we climbed the mountain. We made it about 2/3 of the way up Goat Fell in very quick time, and I was in very high spirits, and you could actually see all the way to Ardrossan, where we'd be getting the ferry back to that evening. The sun's come back out almost at the top. We're at 700 out of 840 metres now, so coat has come back off. This is starting to get a bit tiring. At 700 metres, and if somebody told me that this was halfway, I'd slap them in the face. I don't know how I did Ben Nevis the other day. Perhaps you can see why that ridge there is called the Saddle. There's some views, and then there is that. That is absolutely amazing. It's a very steep drop though. It's not a view I'd like to become a part of. Yeah, I'd say we're looking at like a 400 metre sheer drop there. Oh well, stay well away from it.
We ended up not staying well away from it.
That Jack's just jumped from there to there, even though I forbid it. I did forbid it. Taking a couple of quite heart-in-mouth photos over this ridge. Look at that, man. We were sat on there taking photos. Wow. That this is crazy. I told you it was worth it. This is only North Goat Fell. We've got some metres to climb yet, but that is Kintyre there in the very far distance over the sea. That is the island of Ireland.
Here on the ridge of Goat Fell, it was far too windy for me to actually narrate. It was scrambly, so I needed to focus on the walk as well, but it was absolutely serene. We could see all the way to Ireland across the Irish Sea, and we could see Ben Nevis and Glencoe, where I'd been a mere 3 days earlier as well. It was just absolutely phenomenal.
I'm convinced those things over there are the highlands, like Ben Nevis and Glencoe and stuff. Walking along a sheer drop that's probably 200 metres. Just stick to the path. If you'll excuse how constantly amazed I am by what you can see up here. Those mountains in the distance, those two are Jura, and down there, that landmass there, which you can just about see on camera, is Islay. That's Kintyre. So you can see my whole trip. And just like that, we'd made it to the summit of Goat Fell. There was some people taking photos at the top, so we just let them get on with that, and I hid behind a rock so I wasn't in their shot. But then we headed up to the summit ourselves. Without wanting to sound like a broken record, the views up here were just breathtaking. I would say, no exaggeration, you could see for 50 miles in each direction, if not more. You could see that pointy little volcano in the middle of the sea, Ailsa Craig, and fun fact by the way, all the curling stones used in curling come from rock mined from that island. And more amazing views, this time of the entire Isle of Arran. There was also this cool little map on the cairn at the top confirming that what I thought was Ireland, Jura and Islay were in fact those islands. Oh, we're in no rush at all. No. It was now time for a nice leisurely descent down Goat Fell, so leisurely that Jack could use his life straw to drink from a stream.
It's not working.
I know you're all thinking it, fear not, it did eventually work for the boy. Right then, we are coming to the end of this trip. It's about 4:30. We've got to the bottom of Goat Fell. We're back in Broddick. We're checking for the ferry back to the mainland at about 6:30. So we're just going to kind of doss in Broddick, do a little shop for tonight's final camp in Moffat. I'm quite excited to get home and like have a shave and a proper long shower. Before we board the ferry as well, we're also going to absolutely ram Jack's cooler full of beers. So the minute we get to Moffat, we can put the tents up and just, yeah. We're coming to the end of one of the best things I think I've ever done. Like I've been in my element outdoors all week. And to top it off, I was all the way up there today
Not only was it the end of this short holiday, it was the end of one of the best weeks of my life. I had sprinted out my last exam of third year a week earlier, and whether it be on foot or in a beaten up Ford Fiesta, all I had done for the week after is spend time in nature where I am happiest and in my element. It was an absolutely fantastic use of my time. We were both sad to be leaving Aaron, but to cheer us up, the captain drifted the ferry into the port and then we boarded back to the mainland. And after one farewell, choppy, windy journey on a ferry, we drifted back to Ardrossan.
We have made it to the campsite in Moffat where we camped precisely 6 months ago. We last camped here on the winter solstice. It was much darker and colder than this. We're now camping here more or less on the summer solstice. So there's a pleasing circularity to this, and it's the final night. I'm going to eat steak, I'm going to eat noodles, I'm going to eat some tortilla crisps from on my car bonnet, and then I'm going to sleep in my passenger seat because I cannot be bothered to set a tent up, and there is no good ground around here to set a tent up. We're actually going to get a starry night.
Like on most occasions on this trip, the video didn't do it justice. Not only was it not high quality enough, but you can't smell the pine trees or feel the summer breeze in this video. It was truly amazing.
Yo, mate.
I didn't know that.
You stepped.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Show the bottom of my shoe.
What a pity.
Oh.
Rest in peace, egg.
I feel bad for the chicken now.
Yeah, we don't condone food waste on the Not Fenced In YouTube channel. I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying I feel bad for the chicken and stuff. Time to just get a couple of hours sleep and then we drive home tomorrow morning, which to be honest I'm quite excited to do at this point. I've got the setup that I had on Kintyre going, seat back, almost making me nostalgic for that night on Kintyre and the whole holiday in general. Obviously it is the middle of June, so even though it's 1 in the morning, it's still light in Scotland, which I just find unbelievably gorgeous. So yeah, 1:15 in the morning. Thank you all very much for watching this video if you've made it this far. Hopefully more adventures coming on this YouTube channel. Good night.